Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today, we're going to take a look at the very short but very sweet discography of a perhaps little known band to many of you from Sweden. They were in existence between 1969 and 1972, only produced 3 studio albums, and then that was it. But their semi-quiet legend lives on to this day. They are often noted as one of the first heavy bands ever to release an album in Sweden. The band is called November, just like the month of November, right? 3 guys in the band. This is bass, drums, and vocals. You had Bjorn Inge on drums and vocals, Christer Stahlbrandt on bass and vocals, and guitarist Richard Rolfe. Like I said, they only released 3 albums, and then by 1972, they were already kaput. And all of their albums that came out once a year. Formed in 1969, they had an album in 1970, 1971, 1972. Did some touring, played a whole bunch of shows there, mostly in Scandinavia, and unfortunately for the rest of the world, we never really got to see live the music of November, which also quite interesting because they were one of the first Swedish rock and roll bands that actually said, you know what, we're gonna sing in our own native tongue. We're not gonna sing in English. We're just gonna sing in Swedish, and that's what they did. And so all these albums are sung in Swedish. But you know what? Don't let that scare you off, because the vocals are actually really good. The music is quite heavy, and as far as describing the music of this band, again, you got to think of the times, right? 1970 to 1972. Basically, this was early proto-metal, bluesy, heavy, hard rock, okay, power trio type thing. Think of Cream, think of Mountain. On the second and third album, there are little bits of organ and piano, so you get a little bit of Deep Purple, little Uriah Heep service, that kind of bluesy nature to the band, but pretty heavy stuff. I generally, when I listen to November, I think of an even heavier version of Cream and Mountain. So if you like that sort of thing, big, fuzzy, lumbering guitar riffs, screaming lead guitar solos, big fat bass lines, and very, very busy drumming. Drumming is off the charts on these albums. Bjorn is a really, really fantastic drummer. There are bits of, like I said, keyboards on the second and third album, a little bit of flute here and there, but for the most part, it's basically guitar, bass, and drums. So only 3 albums. I'm going to rank them in the order that I think that appeal to me, right? From my least favorite to my favorite. I like all 3 of them a lot. I think 2 of them are a bit better than the other one, but we'll get to that in a second here. So let's start off with my number 3. Again, we got 3 albums here. I'm going to go to their final album from 1972. All of their albums originally released on Sonnet Records and later reissued on Mellotronin Records, okay, a division of Universal. So I'm going to go with number 3 from 1972, their third release, which is called 6, all right, November 6, E, right? So it's interesting how they named their third album number 6, but it has to do with, I believe, it was to be released, or they recorded it on the 6th. There was something very, very significant about November 6th, and they decided to name their third album based on the date that something happened. I don't remember exactly what it was, but so 6 November, by November. So good stuff on here. It's probably their most experimental and varied album, I think, of the 3. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna butcher a lot of these song titles, so I don't take too much stock in here and try and remember song titles and things like that, because half of them I'm not going to be able to say correctly. But Sraka Tillsammans, okay, which is the kickoff track on here, just kicks off the album in fine fashion. Big, it's heavy, massive riffs, wild drumming, big fat bass, biting lead guitar. It's just the way you want a November album to start off. And that's followed by the more folky February. Okay, that's the name of the song. That's funny how in Swedish they spell it Februari. Okay, so not that much different. And that's kind of more of like a mellow, kind of folky piece, acoustic guitar, right? Very, very different. First time really on any of these albums that they're doing stuff like that, and that's you'll see a trend here. And then you've got Runt I Cyklar, okay, which has some wild wah-wah lead guitars, big throbbing bass. The whole song is kind of like this big and boisterous kind of like Cream type of track, in all, even down to the bass playing, which sounds a lot like Jack Bruce. Really good track. Then you got the crushing proto-metal of Rodluvan, all right, which is another great song on here. Then that moves into this melancholy piano led number called Sasvart at Lamna Dig. Okay, not too crazy about that one. It's nice for what it is, but there are a handful of tracks on this album that just sound really not indicative of the band at all. Like they were really trying to do some different stuff here. Then we've got the big doom-laden heavy blues rock of Alt Genom Dej, which is another great one. Then you got another mellow piano-driven piece, right? It's kind of bluesy, kind of folky. Jordan Greater, all right? Not crazy about that one. Then we go back to kind of Cream Mountain Love on Kommer Langstand, which is, I think, like 8 minutes something long. It's got lots of jams. Very, very cool. Again, just heavy blues rock, kind of proto-metal blues rock, think of the time, right? Just big, huge, humongous riffing and searing solos. Very cool song. Lots of atmosphere of doom and gloom to it. So also, if you get the CD reissue here, you get like 5 or 6 bonus tracks, right? Some other stuff that were kind of laying around that they never used. And there's some good ones on here, actually. So you got a song called Cinderella. Another big, heavy, crushing song. It's got some great slashing wah-wah guitars, big, thick grooves. I really dig that a lot. And then you got, for the first time on a November album, you have a song sung in English, and the song is November's Hand to Hold, which is really cool, and singing pretty fine in English, right? It's got a bit of an accent, but still really good. It's a great hard rocking song. I dig it quite a bit. Overall, and I always love the cover art on this. Overall, I think this is a cool album. It's very varied. There's some stuff on here that's kind of experimental for them. It doesn't really work for me. But what's good here is quite good. I just think the other 2 albums are just stronger through and through. So this is going to be, their number 6 album, which is number 3rd album, is also my number 3. We're going to go, coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with their debut from 1970 called, Enitid Arhar, I guess. I guess that's how they say it. Don't know. That's them right there, by the way. However they say that. Enitid Arhar. I don't know. You got the big heavy riffs of Mount Everest. Yes, it says Mount Everest. That is a English words there, but they do sing in Swedish. Great stuff. Great kickoff track. And then that leads into the rumbling, almost kind of early heavy metal gallop of En Annen Vard. Great song. You got the big lengthy Lek at du at ban igen, which is kind of slower, bluesier, almost doomy. Got a little bit of flute blending in with some absolutely scorching lead guitars. Killer track. Reminds me of Free at times. It's not a band I mentioned before, but on their first album, some of the darker stuff reminds me of that, like their first Free album, kind of darker, bluesy, heavy rock type of thing. Really, really good stuff. I think Cream and 10 Years After fans will love Sekunder Forvandlas till Ar, which has some just killer bluesy and heavy riffs, and just the drumming is just all over the place. This guy's a really good drummer. I always use the term acrobatic because it's just like an octopus, right? Really, really cool stuff. You got some big proto-metal riffs on Varjgang Jag der Kans der Lake Skont. Longest title ever. Of course, I'm sure I butchered that quite a bit. That's another really, really good one. You got some blistering blues rock on Grona Blad. And then you have the kind of upbeat and groovy, very different song for them called Atonde, which is just more of just straightforward rock and roll stuff. Really, really cool. And then you get the menacing and really, really crushing Ta et Steg Sagens Land, which has some fine metallic riffing and wah-wah guitar solos. I mean, it's an excellent debut. Can't fault anything on here. Production's raw. It's a very raw album, but pretty heavy. And I think, some of you who never listened to this band and like early heavy stuff and love, bands like, obviously Sabbath and Zeppelin and Heap and Purple and Sir Lord Baltimore and Budgie and all those bands like that, right? Those early heavy bands, but still kind of bluesy bands, Cactus, things like that. Once you get a load of this band, you'll be like, holy crap, how did I not ever hear these guys before, right? It kind of falls in line with all that stuff. Number one for me is going to be their second album from 1971, and it's November 2:A, right? 2A November. There are the guys in the band. Let's see if I got any other pictures for you here. How kind of Swedish does it look right there out in the forest and whatnot. So this one has another pretty serious opener. It's called Sista Resan, moody, atmospheric, but nice use of piano. Again, they're here all of a sudden on the second album trying to do some really different stuff, but that's just kind of leading into the album. And then they go full on mountain with the crushing Men Mit Hjarta ska vara Jort av Sten. Another really long title. But man, some absolutely stinging lead guitar work on this particular one from Richard Rolfe. Excellent song. Then you got Mina Fatspar Phyllis av Vatten, which is another kind of heavy blues rock bruiser. Man, it's all about the riffs with this band. Killer riffs here. You got the dark, brooding, slow build of En Lang Dag Are Over, which has some simmering organ in the background, and then a scorching guitar solo about the halfway point that almost takes you out. Very cool song. You got Muchka Drummin' Om Malin. To me, sounds like early Grand Funk Railroad. It's a bit more upbeat, a little bit of groove to it. You got Pavag. It's another lengthy kind of face-melting track. Excellent drumming. And then you got more organ on the closer, En Nitis Arhar, which kind of, again, because of the organ, I think in the heavy riffs, it kind of blends like Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, heavy rock, along with some kind of like Wishbone Ash, like blues rock, boogie type of thing, if you think like Wishbone Ash's first couple of albums, right? Very cool song there. And and there you have it. Great album. I really dig the second album quite a bit. But, I do like all of these. I think a little bit too much experimentation going on in this album. I just, these kind of like short little folky interlude type of things. I could have done without those and give me another big heavy number. But otherwise, the heavy stuff on here is very good. So that's going to be number 3. Their debut is going to be number 2. And then, like I said, their second album is going to be number 1. But I would say if you're interested in diving into this band, your best bet is just go find all 3 of them, because I think they are a perfect addition to your early 70s heavy rock collection, no matter what way you look at it. And really good band, and I wish more people knew of them. And again, I'm sure for many people, because they sang in their native tongue, that probably was a blocker for a lot of people. But I'd say give them a shot, because the vocals are good. They're just in Swedish, right? And so you just kind of play along to the music and, headbang to the riffs and things like that. Very cool stuff. So, November. If you are a fan already, let us know how you rank this band. If you've never listened to them before, go check these albums out. They're fairly short for the most part. Most of the songs are like 2 to 4 minutes long. They do throw some longer ones on each album, but for the most part, the songs are fairly short. And then once you've listened to them, come back, let us know what you think. And stay tuned. Coming up here on the channel, of course, we've got the Hudson Valley Squares happening at you tomorrow. And of course, today is Easter Sunday, by the way. Happy Easter, everybody. For all of those watching who celebrate, have a great day today with your friends and family, and celebrating Easter Sunday. And 1 week from today, here on Ranking the Albums, I will be ranking the catalog of the great U.S. prog rock / they're not really a metal band, but they're kind of like heavy prog band who got their start in the 90s. Enchant, very cool prog band. Good hard rock and prog band. I think if you like 80s Rush and you've never listened to Enchant before, you'll dig them quite a bit. You'll probably hear the Rush comparison come up a bit while I'm ranking their albums. So that's coming up next week, so stay tuned for that. A week from today. Until then, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts, and please do hit the like button before you leave. So until next time, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please do hit that like button. Did I already say that? I don't know, but we'll see you tomorrow, of course, with another of our favorite guitar riff masters of all time. That'll be first thing in the morning. And then tomorrow night, we've got the Hudson Valley Square. So till then, take care, everybody. I am Pete Pardo. Once again, happy Easter, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.